Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. This is Paul Finkelstein with my OMG Talker, OnlineMeetandGreet.com, or you can find us also at OMGTalk.com. I like to interview all kinds of professionals all over the world. This actually turned into a global broadcast. I also interview people locally in the Southeast Florida area, across the nation in the U.S., into Canada. And now we have a special guest. Her name is Caroline Nettle, all the way from the United Kingdom. How are you today, Caroline?
I'm really good. Thanks, Paul. Thank you for having me on.
It's awesome to finally have you on our broadcast as well. Let's dive into some questions and learn about you. Can you tell us how long you've been doing what you're doing and what are you doing?
So, very interesting question. The latest project that I'm doing, I haven't been doing it for very long at all. So, I started gardening in my 51st year, and I got this idea that I was going to do some huge tree planting holidays kind of concept. Went to Africa twice, Australia, came back here, and that's morphed into I know what I'm doing now, but I'm still looking for the land. So, I haven't actually started yet, but I'm setting up a market garden. It's called Wild Nettle Gardens. And we're going to be growing like medicinal herbs and fruit and vegetables and salads, all the usual stuff. And then on that land, I'm going to set up a care farm, which is a new concept, but it's a very old practice where you invite people in. My area that I'm really interested in helping is PTSD. So a lot of veterans, women, because we have to go out with men. Just kidding there, obviously. But they've just in England said that one of the most traumatic things a woman can do is have a baby. And that often results in PTSD, but it hasn't been recognized till now. So I imagine it's a fairly broad spectrum that I'll be addressing. So they come into the garden, and there's loads and loads of peer-reviewed studies, scientific studies saying that getting out in the garden, it's called horticultural therapy, can help you with your depression, your stress, and it's really good for you. And the upside is you get fantastic food. What's not to love?
That sounds like an amazing topic, an amazing passion. And let's dive a little bit more deeper into you, Caroline. It could be about what you just talked about. And I love this question too coming up. And that's if you could share one success story that you're proud of. It could be about something you just described or something personal, something business related, but just share one success story that you're super proud of.
So I think the thing that I'm most proud of in my life is on March 13th, I will be 13 years sober. And it's ironic how very often when you are in a life where you need to get through the day by taking alcohol or drugs or shopping or sex or power or money or whatever is your addiction, you have no clue that that's your problem. So I went to a treatment center in Kentucky, not knowing that that's where I was going. I think I was duped a little bit and found out very quickly that I was an alcoholic. And then you find out why you're an alcoholic, and then you have to go through loads of therapy. And but I've lost a lot of friends who I've made in the addiction circles because they didn't quite make it. And to me, what I'm most proud of is I am really stubborn. And there was just not a second recovery in me. And I knew that from the get-go. So I was never, ever going to drink again. So I'm here, but for the grace of God. I mean, I have to be honest, I had a lot of help and everything like that. And here's a funny story. So every year on March the 13th, I'll post, yay, I've done another year. I'm really proud. And last year, I think I got about 120 comments. And the last one was, well done, Steve, which I just found so funny. They clearly hadn't read the post.
Excellent. It reminds me, I actually have another friend named Mark, and we had lost touch for maybe, believe it or not, 38 years.
Wow.
And I hadn't met him since I was 13 years old. And now you could do the math. But with that in mind, I didn't know that I was shy. Well, I knew I was shy when I was 13. I didn't know that I had to follow up with people until I got into business. But then I was having fun. And when I followed up with him, he had some issues that he actually had some nice success stories similar to yours that he achieved as well. So I should maybe connect you to, because I think he wanted to write a book and
Oh,
a
okay,
whole
yeah.
bunch of things to inspire people. So that would be a nice, interesting collaboration. Tell us also, I know it can't be all about the money relating to that venture that you were getting started with, but maybe how you got passionate into the horticulture activities that
Yeah.
you're going to be pursuing. What got you passionate about that?
It definitely isn't all about the money, because all I'm hearing, I'm meeting a lot. I've just moved to a new area, and so I'm networking with all the, food producing projects and, permaculture and lots of different things. And every single person without fail has said to me, it's really hard making money selling vegetables. Okay, I'm not listening. I told you I was stubborn. So what got me into it? It's really interesting. I spent 51 years never doing any gardening. I mean, it's interesting to me when I look back at all my travels, because I've traveled quite a lot. I went to jungles and glaciers and volcanoes and forests, and there was a real theme. I love nature, and I've always been really, really pro looking after the environment and the animals and the wildlife and so on. So what got me into this was I sat one day and thought, I'm really fed up with not knowing what I want to do. And I'm a strong believer in the answers are always within us, always. We just have to shut up enough to listen. And so I shut off the phone, I shut off the computers, I didn't answer the door to anyone, I shut the curtains, and I sat there for 2 days. I didn't know it was going to be 2 days. But I sat there in the beginning for about 10 minutes and was going, come on, give me the answer, but I had to wait. And what I saw was my hands like this with a mound of earth and a little sapling growing. And I was like, what? And I didn't really understand, but then I got this idea for tree planting holidays, which I launched, but I never found the land. And like I said, I went to Africa and Australia looking for the land, and then I really, really damaged my foot, so I had to come back to the UK because I couldn't walk. And it kind of morphed into this market garden, which is a lot more easy to do than a massive, great big project like that. But I've just become really fascinated with medicinal herbs, and my name is Nettle, and nettles are the most health-giving plant on the planet, although they're universally hated because they sting you, but they have so many health-giving properties. And the funny thing is, I never really looked at gardening, but when I think about it, my mother was a fantastic gardener, her father, his father. So on that side, I feel like I'm channeling some really great intelligence. So the person that I am, I thought, right, if I'm really going to do this, I'm going to give myself a year on a farm. So I got some land from a farmer in Wales, and I didn't know what I was doing. And it was the worst year weather-wise. We had real heat, real cold, snow, rain. I mean, everyone was saying, oh, this is the most dreadful year on record, blah, blah, blah. This is 2018 here in England. And in there, I also lost everything in a fire, because I was living on a natural building community, and the houses were made of like wood and straw, and mine caught fire. So I lost absolutely everything. So there's a blessing from every tragedy. And I got a visit from this man who was from a company called Social Farms and Gardens. And he said to me, have you ever heard of care farming? And I was like, no, what's that? And that's how I discovered it. He said, because what you're doing is, like, I had this garden so I could scream and process and cry and grieve and do all this, because it was really traumatic, and it took me a long time before I even could remember to eat every day. And I was so traumatized by the fire, which now I'm grateful for, because it introduced me to care farming. So I went along to a couple of workshops that they were organizing and was like, I really want to do this. But a lot of the care farms in England that are already in place, they deal with people with learning disabilities and autism and things like that, which of course is a hugely great thing to do. But I really wanted to, I don't know why, but I really was drawn to working with people with PTSD. And then earlier this year, I got a diagnosis myself of PTSD. So life has a funny way of pointing you in the direction you need to go. And who knew? But so what's happened this year? I've been in the newspaper, which I'm thrilled about. I'm talking to you. I'm on lots of radio shows. I'm just talking to everybody and their dog. and somewhere someone will have an acre of land that I can rent. So I'm at that stage, and I have about 1,000 plants in pots growing. So everything's ready to kind of go in the ground. I just need the land. So we were thinking about just using the hashtag just need an acre, but I'd have to, I'm working on that one. That one's been suggested to me recently. But, so yeah, looking for the land. I'm starting to get grants, which is amazing. And because it's like having a job, isn't it? Once you get one grant, it's a lot easier to go and apply for other grants. So that's really fantastic. But I do know,
at least the hashtag need an acre is free versus the domain name you'd pay for.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But it's so funny because I have some funders lined up who are all saying it's a brilliant idea, Caroline, but it's just a nice idea until you've actually got the land. So that's where I'm at the moment. Really doing it on a shoestring, really want to regenerate some land, really want to build some great ecosystems. Super excited, no experience whatsoever. That doesn't faze me at all.
Now, what would your typical customer, if they were to ask you a question? I know sometimes the first question that most customers ask in probably every business all throughout the entire gamut is, how much is it going to cost?
Yeah, for sure.
And the price and things like that. But is there any other question besides how much that your customers would want to ask you? Do you have two questions that you want to throw out there, and that your question would ask you, and then go ahead and answer them?
So yeah, that's an interesting way to interview. Thank you. So I think a lot of my job is going to be education, and my parents were teachers, so I think I was put here to educate people. I'm pretty sure that's half the reason I'm here. So I'm growing a lot of medicinal herbs and interesting fruits, because like I said when I answered your first question, it is quite hard to be the same as everybody else and just produce fruit and vegetables. I want to be different, so I'm trying to grow all these weird and wonderful things. So I think a lot of what the questions are going to be in the first instance is, what is that? What do you do with it? So I'm going to write some like cookery suggestions, or how to juice it, or why it's so much better for you than oranges, or whatever. I'm going to write some information cards and stick them on the website so that I'm not always answering the same question. But I'm so excited about this. I really want to do like tea times on Tuesdays for elderly that are isolated, and come and have them shell peas, or pick lettuce, or the really, really simple things, so that they're doing it in community and having a nice cup of tea and a piece of cake. I really want to work with schools and have them grow, in some of the beds that we have, and just get them to see what a tomato looks like, for example. And the other thing, I'm in my fantasy of what this is going to look like, I have a really long archway and a big long table. Now I've seen those in California on a lot of the flower websites. They have this exact idea, and you have a really long table, and then you get a fantastic chef, and he just cooks food from the garden. And it's a bit of a marketing exercise, but I get to eat really good food and invite people onto the land. So I think it's going to be a little bit more than just producing food, education, and but a lot of the workshops that I want to run are going to be educational as well. So I'm thinking about that. So I want to do meditation, jam making, foraging, mindfulness, all sorts of different educational sort of workshops, because my idea is just to get people onto the land, because I think that's where the healing will happen. I have no idea what your question was. Sorry.
Oh, actually, the question was for you to ask the question of what your customers would ask you. So did you have another question that you think, or we're going to wrap up from here, and I'll just do a wrap up?
Yeah, no. Okay. So I think, what is it for, and why do I need it? And, it's always interesting to look at the price. I'm not aiming to compete with the big supermarkets. I'm not aiming to compete with the places you go and you spend $1. That's not my market. I'm going to be producing pesticide-free, unusual, and really, really health-giving food. So the price question for me is going to be really interesting, and whether or not there's a market for it, I will see. But I'm going to be selling a lot of what I do online as well, because I think, because my field is here, it doesn't mean to say that's where my typical customer base is going to be. I mean, England is this big compared to the US, so Yeah, we're a lot smaller, but
So
yeah, I reckon.
what would you ship overseas? The actual fruit?
Yeah, no. So I was thinking more of like
How to
maybe
grow it?
juices, dried fruit, jams. If I make jams, maybe tinctures, depending on what I grow, and maybe dried herbs. Yeah, this is all. Once I have the land, I will work it out. But it's a wonderful idea because it moves so much. So there's so much room to play with.
What about the idea of, here's an idea, writing a book about your passion and then sell either that book for the done for you kind of people that they want to do it themselves, and you package something together, or how to grow a particular item, and you figure out how to do it and make it grow real well, and then sell that to somebody as an idea. That way you could put something together once and then sell it over and over again, how to do it to people all across the world. And then you're just selling a CD or a piece of paper or a flash drive or a link that goes to a YouTube video that describes how to do something. What do
Yeah,
you think
no,
of
for
something
sure,
like that? Or is that
definitely.
outside of your model at this time?
No, not at all. I just think at the moment I haven't. Everyone keeps telling me, "Yeah, you're going to be a real teacher." I will be, but I need to get my hands dirty and maybe do at least 1 or 2 seasons, and then I will have so much to share because I am an avid learner. I'm really loving YouTube at the moment because it's you guys in America have. You're so lucky. You have all these real specialists in real niches that do fantastically long webinars about really specific things to do with herbal medicine, and I'm just kind of overloaded at the moment. It's fantastic, but I love it. But
Yep.
if anybody's interested, I am looking for funding, and I have a Patreon account which I've set up, and you can just find me as Wild Nettle Gardens on Patreon. I'm also on Facebook, so come and find me on Facebook, Wild Nettle Gardens again. And there's a website which is, surprise, surprise, www.wildnettle.gardens.com. So yeah, just look for me everywhere on Wild Nettle Gardens. Not on Instagram yet. Don't take pictures yet, but I will be when I start getting some really luscious pictures of what I'm growing and things.
And I'm so glad you said your website, because that was my ending question, which was how people can get a hold of you in the audience that resonate with everything you say. They want to keep in touch. They want to see you grow like your products as well. A great word to use, grow, here, right? I had to use that.
Yeah, for
Let's do a
sure.
little recap so people could, if they're just tuning in or they catch this when it's on YouTube right in the middle. We were talking about how long Caroline has been doing what she's doing. She did share with us one success story that she is proud of. And she told us, hey, it can't be all about the money, or maybe it is, and what developed that passion for why she's doing what she's doing now in her life. She got through some challenges, and she has some major achievements as well. I think it was a 12 years achievement. And then she told us how to get a hold of her, so we can learn more about her and follow her successes also, which is at Wild, say it again,
WildNettleGardens.com.
Wild Natural Gardens with that.
Nettle, Wild Nettle Gardens.
Oh, Wild Nettle Gardens with an
Yeah,
S.
yeah,
Wild Nettle Gardens with an S.com.
yeah.
And it's really great to have you on the show, Caroline. And I'm just going to wrap up this broadcast, and stick around. Don't just click off just yet. We'll say a quick pleasantries. Thank you for joining us, Caroline, on OnlineMeetandGreet.com or OMGTalk.com. It's always great to have you on the show as well, and listen and learn and shine the light on different businesses and professionals and individuals all around the world now. Ciao for now, guys.